welcome back to Dungeons and Dyslexia. My name's Adrian, and today I'm taking a look at the ShadowDark zine called Warhorse. And as you can imagine, this is quite horse-inspired. But I was really surprised when I actually got into this, because I was expecting, obviously stats for horses, maybe some equipment, barding, things like that. But no, there's more than that. There are some equine gods, some specific magic items. There is rules for jousting. There's a brand new class that is very good at jousting or lancing people, which we'll get into, as well as a first level adventure at the back. I think it's 48 pages. And this is the first one that I've ever seen from Erudite DM. He did send me this copy. He hasn't asked me to review it, but I wanted to review it because, I think this is actually, thinking about it, this is specifically written for ShadowDark, but I think there are rules in here, and obviously ShadowDark is OSR, so it's quite easy to convert, but he has left certain rules in, or things in, I think, that will easily convert this to anything else. And I think you can quite easily just slot this into most or existing campaigns. So, as ever, I'm going to start a drive-through RPG where you can pick it up. So it is currently on drive-through RPG only in PDF form only. It is coming for print on demand, just because I saw I saw Mike had actually written somewhere, I think it was on X, that he said that it is coming. So it's written by Erudite DM, also known as Mike. This is the first scene that he's ever sent to me. He has actually sent me another one as well, which I'll look at at a later date. But yeah, this is all about horses. As you can see, here's the front cover and the details. It is 48 pages. Mike did send me this copy. He hasn't, I actually asked him for this. I watched his video and I went, that's really sweet. And he was like, do you really want to look at mine? And I was like, yeah. I think he was a little bit, I don't know whether he didn't think I'd want to look at it. But do I like horses? Horses terrify me. I'm terrified of loads of animals, as much as I love animals. But the reason for that is they are so big and so powerful. And I think what this covers really well is actually just how big and powerful they are and how useful they're going to be for your player characters as well as for your NPCs. So let's get back to the zine. I just got sidetracked slightly. So let's say this is his zine number 1. So zine number 2 is out now at time of recording, which I think is called Saints or Saints of ShadowDark. So it's 48 pages, and this covers how to, training of horses, type of war horses. It's got 7 different types of horses. Who knew there was that many? Does include an oxen as well. Different colours, faces, names for them, loads of equipment that says magic gods and variety of other stuff, as well as this wonderful adventure here. It's actually, I think I may have said first level adventure. I think it says for levels 2 to 3, but I think I've wasted enough time. Obviously, if you are going to pick this up, please do consider using my affiliate link. It does help me just buy things on the channel that I then convert back into reviews. Yes, for all honesty, I didn't actually pay for this. Mike was kind enough to send me a copy after I begged him for it. But I'm so glad I did, and I'm so glad I'm talking about it for you guys, because you're going to want this. This is really, really good. So here we've got the front cover of this zine here, and it says, I love this. I really do like the fact that we are starting to see slightly different colours now on ShadowDark stuff. I did all the letters of the dark, letters from the dark, and they were different colours. We are kind of used to just the black and the white, but it doesn't hurt to actually break away. But layout, design, and writing is all by Mike himself. So he just go, I think it's on X, and he's actually got his own YouTube channel now as well, the Erudite DM. So go and follow him on both of those. So let's get into the content. It's 48 pages, nicely broken out and hyperlinked. So I'd take you through the introduction of the book, the last companion, A Kingdom for a Horse, which is a random table, details of training. Some of this is a little bit more, explains the sort of ethos behind horses and training, and then we've got the 7 different types of horses, and then this oxen, which isn't a horse. I know, Mike probably knows as well, so you don't need to tell him or me. Colours and markings, buying amount 2 tables here, naming ideas, which is 3D20 tables. equipment, wagons and carts, which is really helpful, having the different types of wagons and carts you can have, horse guards, equine magic, the knight lancer class, rules on joust, hex travelling, because you're travelling faster on a horse, so you should be able to go farther. What's in the saddlebag? Oh, there's a spelling error there. Even I noticed that one. Horse-related NPCs, and then this one-shot adventure, which I'm not going to spoil. I don't like spoiling adventures in here, because I kind of think you should go and discover it for yourself, but I will sort of show you what's included. With all these videos, actually, if you're a games master, you can stick around. If you're a player, you can pretty much stick around for all of this, because this is going to be helpful for players too. So I'm not going to spoil the adventure. So yeah, hey, join in. It was just got a little bit of the background here, the introduction into the book, sort of why he's done it. You know, he is quite a historian from a few of the videos that I've heard, and I'm gonna explain that. One of the things I find really fascinating about horses that this zine does cover incredibly well. So I live in a small little town in England called Evesham, which, if you're aware of British history or English history, the Battle of Evesham was a massively important battle, because it got rid of Simon de Montfort, who is basically, he's one of the people behind modern democracy. So he did the Barons' Revolt against the king, which was Henry V? I should remember this. It's only our local battle, but every year we have a reenactment. And if you've been to a joust, jousts make a fair bit of noise, but we have this reenactment, and every year they reenact the Battle of Evesham. You know, it was the first battle where the lords would Simon de Montfort, because normally back in historical times they used to capture them, and then they would offer them for a reward, if that makes sense. But Simon de Montfort was one of the first barons ever killed. They even cut his man parts off and shoved him in his mouth, because that's what happens when you do a rebellion against the royal family. But back to the story. One thing that this book covers well, and the thing that I really notice when you are around, and the bravery of mankind is incredible, but there's only 30 or 40 horses in these cavalry charges at the battles and the reenactment that they put in the local town, and the ground physically just vibrates. You know, it's absolute. The noise is terrifying, and we're not even there having the horses facing me, and even my kids are like, you can feel them sort of like grabbing your hand a little bit more, because it's and say this is kind of the vibe I get from this. I'm going to timestamp that bit, because people might not want to listen to that story, because sometimes I get a bit distracted as I'm doing this. So let's get back to the zine. But I timestamp it so you can skip it, even though I've said the timestamp at the end. But a little bit here, just a flavor text in here. But then we've got this D12 here. So it's just some sort of random encounters, adventure ideas for horses and horse interactions throughout a campaign setting. This is more of a historical plot thing. Talks about training war horses, things I'd never even thought of. Obviously, you need to desensationalize to combat. So, you know, you need to expose the horse to loud noises. It needs to be able to taught how to maneuver and control from the knight on the back, how to charge, how to fight, the conditioning. They need good aggression training. And the people that train these would be monks at monasteries or noble estates, specialist horse breeders or knights and trainers, as well as their grooms. So we've got the different types of horses here, from the most prized and expensive Warhorse, which is the tank primarily used from knights, and I imagine royalty as well. Then we've got the coursers, which were slightly lighter, more versatile Warhorse, so they'd be fast for battle. Then we've got the palfreys, which are a finer boned comfort riding horse, favoured by those of higher status. Then we've got the ronces, all the way through down to ponies, draft horses and mules. I didn't know there was that much difference between horses, because I say we see them at the reenactment. They are ginormous. Who can ride a horse? Not everyone can ride a horse. You get the players to roll a d6. On a 5 or 6, they can ride a horse. Obviously, if they're going to be a horse-based person, you know, you might want to just allow them to have the riding skill. But I think this is quite good that not everyone can automatically ride a horse. War horses may not carry normal armoured passengers. Obviously, you're going to wear lighter armour to be on the horse. Ponies may be ridden, but only by halflings, dwarfs, courtier ladies, children. Draft horses may be ridden only in exceptional circumstances. Obviously, got a charisma check here. Small humanoids cannot ride horses due to their stature, unless they ride behind a passenger. Like, was it Merry or Pippin? Merry, one of them. It's Pippin, wasn't? No, it was Merry. No, it's Pippin. I can never remember. curly-haired one. Monsters cannot ride normal battles. They're only going to ride wargs, boars, and mythical and foul creatures. Half-orcs, because they're so hideous, must pass a DC 12 charisma check for going. Thrown or unhorsed, you're automatically going to take a D4 worth of damage when you land. And then we've got the stats for all of the 7 horses. I'm not going to go through them, but they'll have the cost, AC here, which will vary depending on the bard, the amount of hit points, and then the gear slots or poundage they can carry. And so this seems to be, so it can be easily converted into other systems because, you know, you've still got all the stats in here as well. And then it is trained for battle. The rider is trained to handle the warhorse for battle. And one thing I'd never thought about is this spooking rule. So during combat, when a horse is reduced to 50% hit points or the rider is unhorsed, it may panic and flee. And then it's going to a D10 constitution check plus the rider's charisma not to automatically just sod off. When you're on mounted attacks, you're going to get +1 attack to whoever you're attacking, or +2 if you've got a lance and you're charging or jousting. And the attacker receives advantage for attacks versus people on foot. So yeah, you're just wading through, just whacking people with swords, looking down on them. And then with the same things here with the courtiers, the palfreys. And as we go through the horses, the cost in general reduces, the amount of hit points will reduce, but also the spook difficulty of them actually increases. As you'd imagine, you know, the larger, more trained war horses shouldn't spook as easily. So all through draft horse, mule, as well as oxen. I've got some random tables here to help with the colours of the horses, the patterns, any sort of facial or legs markings, and a little bit of just difference between a mule and oxen with the sort of standard colours that you'd expect. If you want to buy a horse, obviously you can go and buy a standard horse. However, if you're going to be purchasing one from a poor, an average, or a wealthy, it will affect potentially some stats. They might have some quirks as well as the cost. Ideas for names, we've got 3d20 tables here for names. You could either roll all 3d20, 2 or just 1, and then, you know, or multiple and then just pick. We've got some basic riding equipment here, so things like the bridle and the bits, saddles. Most of this, some of it means something to me. I know what a saddle is. I'm not completely stupid. Okay, I know what a feed bag is, but, you know, water buckets. And then we've got all the grooming stuff like a curry brush, horse blanket and farrier's kits, and then bardins, which I've found out recently is armor for horses. And then a champhron, which is a metal faceplate for the horse, intimidating and slightly protective, +1 AC as well. So 4 different carts here, including costs and things they can carry. Horse gods, 3 horse gods. So we've got Ethelwyn, Vargan, and Harnack, and it does range from lawful, chaotic to neutral, so 1 for each. 3 new magic spells, 3 new magic items, and the one magic item here, the Talk of the Storm Rider, it's one of the focal points of the adventure that's actually coming up. I'm not going to tell you what the magic what they do, but you can go and discover what the magic items and the spells do. But it's nice that there is something specific in here for them. I am going to talk about the Lancer, which is a great new class in here. So all alignments, all weapons, all armor, all shields, D8 hit points, standard fighter sort of abilities, but advantage on rolls involving horsemanship. So it's going to be harder to knock off. You're going to be able to attack people better. You're going to get a +1 attack with the lance. You get this bastion thing where on mounted or on foot, a knight can rapidly form a circular defensive position, giving +1 AC to all defenders for +3 rounds. They're going to be better at lance strike, doing additional damage. And they get this the saddle acumen where they can actually have more slots on their horse as well. And I like this. I really like the idea of playing a knight, and some of the knight lancer talents actually get really good as well. Obviously, you know, depending on what you're going to roll in here. Rules for jousting, nice and simple. I was expecting more, but I'm glad it's all been kept down to 1 page. It does obviously say that a joust it's set in a tournament or field joust, so it's non-lethal. You are doing non-lethal damage. You're technically doing half damage, but there's an attack roll, no initiative, because you're both basically just riding in and hitting each other at the normal time. At the same time, and depending on what happens, will determine how many points you get, and then it's just best of 3. Obviously, the idea is not to kill the other person on when you're jousting, because it is for show. But, you know, occasionally people did die. Oddly, nearly Henry VIII nearly died in a friendly joust when he was younger. But yeah, so from a points point of view, if you miss, you're not going to get any points. If your lance is shattered, you're going to get 2 points because that's normally going to come from a direct hit. If you inflict 1 to 3 points of damage, 1 point, and touch step 4+, it's going to be 2 points. Shattering the lance is, so every time if you hit, you're going to roll a d6. On a 1 to 2, your lance is shattered. Going to earn you a couple of extra points here. And if your knight is unhorsed, you will have some additional damage in here. And sadly, you're going to roll a d12, and on the 1, you're going to be unhorsed, and then you instantly lose the competition. But if you're a 2, it means your horse has been hit, which is, I'm kind of glad it's included, but I'm glad it's only a 1 in 12 chance, because that seems a little bit horrible. But you can do lethal battles as well. You know, no points, no rules, just blood and death, more than likely. Overland hex travels, obviously horses trot along a lot faster than humans, and it means you can do additional hex, and you can push them further without exhaustion. Okay, so that's really the gist of it. What's in the saddlebags when you find a horse out in the wilderness? Be it, let's go with an alive horse with saddlebags, because the other thought is a little bit more sinister, but it's just some random things, you know, for here. White man linen shirt, stained woolen socks, 2 flints, flints and 2 gold pieces, for example. We've got a D10 here of horse-related NPCs, so people you're going to find. Wainwrights, who are good at making carts. Cartwrights, who makes 2-wheeled carts. First few were quite nice. We then get down to 6, when we got the horse thief, a serious criminal. Risking hanging seems fair. And then things like sattlers and marshals. And then we are into the adventure. So players, absolutely fine here. I think you can, yeah, I'm not going to spoil this in any way, shape or form. It's a good little adventure. I think you'd probably get this done in an evening, maybe over 2 sessions, just depending on what you're going to do. But basically, the players have been asked by the king, there's a potential rebellion going on up in the north, and he wants you to go and investigate and find out about the rebellion, what's going on, the size of the army, things like that. And you're going to get there and you're going to find out that it's not quite all as it seems. So we have got some rumours in here. But more importantly, the king's going to go, actually, while you're there, can you get me back the Talk of the Storm Rider, which was the magic item that we looked at earlier, and anything else you happen to borrow on a permanent basis, you can keep yourself. So yeah, that's your plot. It does encourage the players to have horse riding abilities for obvious reasons, because it does link into this zine, and it does talk about taking Algrim the Scout here, just to keep players on track. First 2 days, because you've got 2 days to get there, they are included with what's going to happen in the days and some additional random tables in here. So we've got the hex max, so if you want to use this as a beginning area, or take them from, you know, your main castle up to Tannis Horn, up in the you're looking at, that's top left, isn't it, if you're or northwest, as normal people would call that on a map. I don't like sideward maps. Just I appreciate why it's in here as well, but yeah. And then you've got a dungeon underneath, which I probably shouldn't spoil, and then some raven folk at the back. But all the monsters and stat blocks that are in addition to anything that's outside of the main ShadowDark rulebook is included in here, as well as a couple of additional spells in here as well. So that there is your fantastic horse zine. I really like this. I think that, other than the sideways map, I can't think of anything negative to say, and that's just me moaning because I don't like turning my head sideways when I'm trying to read things, because I haven't got a physical copy. Because if you've got a physical copy, it's not too bad. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, because whether you're running medieval or fantasy, you're going to want to include horses in this. You know, I regularly have games where someone goes, you know, they will have enough money to buy a horse, and then we do nothing with it. We don't really allow them to do combat rules. We don't give them additional carrying stuff. It's just, I really like the fact, the amount of detail and effort that Mike's gone into this to say it's so player accessible. Even, little things like, oh, what colour's your horse, to make them a little bit more interesting. But, you want to buy a horse from a village, it's going to be a little bit poorer and cheaper because it's not going to be as well fed. So it probably won't be stronger. So it makes sense that it's not going to cost you as much. Even down to the little tables with the random items in a non-dead horse. Let's go with that. It's brilliant, brilliant. I think everyone should include this in their rules. And obviously, there is one downside, is if everyone can afford a horse and someone can't, the players will just be hex crawling a little bit quicker, and then you can just leave Jeff behind because, it's just Jeff. He can stay at the back. Yeah, go and grab this. Go and grab it. So if you want a print on demand, I believe it's coming. So I seem to remember reading somewhere on X or Twitter, whatever it's called nowadays. I don't know why they bothered changing the name, because we still call it both. But yeah, I'd go and support Mike. He has got a YouTube channel. He has just started talking about his new zine that's coming out. I will be covering that as well because that is equally fantastic. That was a bit of a spoiler, wasn't it? Sorry. If you've enjoyed this video, please do like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you are going to buy this zine, please do consider using my affiliate link because, anything created on there, put back into the channel. Come support me on a variety of social medias as well, and as including my Discord. And I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.